James was enjoying his life on the island of Sodor, but he still had a lot to learn. You're a special mixed traffic engine, said Sir Topham Hatt. You can pull coaches or freight cars quite easily, but you must learn by your mistakes. James knew what Sir Topham Hatt meant. He could well remember that dreadful accident on his first day. Be careful with the coaches, James, said kind little Edward. They don't like being bumped. Everyone came to admire James. I'm a really splendid engine, he thought, and suddenly let off steam. A shower of water fell on Sir Topham's nice new top hat. James thought they had better go. Go on, he puffed to Edward. Don't push, replied Edward. The coaches were grumbling too. Don't go so fast, don't go so fast. But James didn't listen. When at last they stopped at the next station, two coaches were beyond.
Ooh, Anna, kissing won't save the forest.
On the platform. They had to go back to let the passengers out. But no one seemed to know about Sir Topham's new hat, so James felt happier. Presently they came to the station where Thomas was waiting with his two coaches. Hello, James, said Thomas. Feeling better? That's right. Oh, that's my conductor's whistle. I must go. I don't know what Sir Topham Hatt would do without me to run this branch line. And he puffed off importantly.
What sound does a giraffe make? Never mind. Dave, wake the Fairy Queen.
Edward and James passed the field where James had had his accident. The fence was mended and the cows were back again. They ended their journey and rested before setting off for home. James was still wondering what Sir Topham would have to say about his new hat. Next morning, he spoke severely to James. If you can't behave, I shall take away your red coat and have you painted blue. James didn't like that at all. He was very rough with the grumbling coaches as he brought them to the platform. Don't talk, come on, he called to them. Gordon never has to fetch his own coaches, he thought to himself, and he's only painted blue.
Saves everyone!
To make James even more cross, this time no one came near him. I'll show them, he thought. They think Gordon is the only engine who can pull coaches. Hurry, puffed James. You're going too fast, replied the coaches. James laughed and tried to go faster, but the coaches wouldn't let him. We're going to stop, they said. We're going to stop. What's the matter? James asked his driver. The brakes are hard on. Leak in the pipe, most likely. You've banged the coaches enough to make a leak in anything. How shall we mend it? Said the conductor. We'll do it with newspaper and a leather bootlace, replied the driver. Well, where is the bootlace coming from? Asked the conductor. Ask the passengers, said the driver. You have a leather bootlace there, I see, sir, said the conductor to a smartly dressed man. Please give it to me. I won't, said the man. Then, said the conductor, I'm afraid the train will just stop where it is. The passengers all said what a bad railway it was. Then they told the man how bad he was instead. Everyone was very cross. At last he handed his laces over. The driver tied a pad of newspaper tightly round the hole in the brake pipe, and James was able to pull the train. But he was a sadder and wiser James, and took care never to bump coaches again.
Oh dear, he thought, I wonder how long I shall have to stay in the shed. Will anyone see my red coat again? Why did I go so fast that I made a hole in one of my coaches that had to be mended with, of all things, a passenger's bootlace? At last Sir Topham Hatt arrived. I know you are sorry, James, he said, and I know too that you want to be a useful engine. People are laughing at my railway, and I do not like that at all. I will try hard to do my best, said James. That's a good engine. There's nothing like determination. I want you to pull some freight cars for me. James was delighted, puffed away. Here is your freight train, James, said Thomas. Have you got some bootlaces ready? And he ran off laughing. Oh, said the freight cars. We want a proper engine, not a red monster. James took no notice and started as soon as the conductor was ready. Come along, he puffed. We won't, screamed the freight cars. But James didn't care, and he pulled the screeching cars sternly out of the station. The cars tried hard to make him give up, but he still kept on. Sometimes their brakes would slip on, and sometimes their axles would run hot, and each time the trouble had to be put right. And each time James would start again, determined not to let them beat him. Give up, you can't pull us, you can't, called the cars. I can and I will, puffed James. We're alone with James. Although Sir Topham Hatt was beginning to think well of him, whenever a chance came, the other engines would talk of nothing but bootlaces. Remember when they had to use a bootlace to get you out of trouble, James? They would tease. James tried to get back by talking about Henry, who got shot up in a tunnel, and Gordon, who got stuck on a hill. Shining with lovely new paint.
He's trapped in the Snow Goblin's evil spell. Quick, Elsa, make a print. Now I can cross.
Is it tomorrow? Asked James. Gordon didn't answer. He just let off steam feebly. Did you lose your way, Gordon? Said James. No, it was lost for me. I was switched off the main line onto the loop. I had to go all round and back again. Perhaps it was instinct, said James. Meanwhile, all the passengers hurried to the ticket window. We want our money back, they shouted. But Sir Topham Hatt climbed onto a car and blew the conductor's whistle so loudly that they all stopped to look at him. Then he promised them a new train at once. Bridges and stations flashed by, the passengers cheered, and they soon reached the station. Everyone said thank you to James, and Sir Topham Hatt was very impressed. Well done, he said. Would you like to pull the express sometimes? Yes, please, answered James. Next day, when James came by, Gordon was pushing freight cars. I like some quiet work for a change, he said. I'm teaching these cars manners. You did well with those coaches, I hear. Good, we'll show them. And he gave his cars a bump. James and Gordon are now good friends. James sometimes takes the express to give Gordon a rest. Gordon never talks about bootlaces and... Thomas the tank engine is very proud of his branch line. He thinks it's the most important part of the whole railway. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, agree with him. Annie can only take passengers, but Clarabelle can take passengers, baggage, and the conductor. They are both old and need new paint, but Thomas loves them very much. As they run backwards and forwards along the line, they sing songs to each other. When Thomas starts from a station, he sings, "Oh, come along, we're rather late. Oh, come along, we're rather late." And the coaches sing, "We're coming along, we're coming along." They don't mind what Thomas says to them, because they know he is trying to please Sir Topham Hatt. And they know, too, that if Thomas is cross, he's not cross with them. One day they had to wait for Henry's train, which made Thomas very cross. How can I run my line properly if Henry is always late? He doesn't realize that Sir Topham Hatt depends on me. Thomas whistled impatiently. He wanted to leave, but he had to wait for Henry's passengers. At last, Henry came. "Where have you been, lazybones?" asked Thomas. "Oh dear, my system is out of order. No one understands my case. You don't know what I suffer," moaned Henry. "Rubbish," said Thomas. "You're too up for lost time." Annie and Clarabelle were so pleased to have their conductor again that they sang "As fast as you like, as fast as you like" to Thomas all the way. They reached the end of the line quicker than ever before. When Thomas puffed along his branch line, he always looked forward to something special. The sight of the river. As he rumbled over the bridge, he would see people fishing. Thomas often wanted to stay and watch, but his driver said no. What would Sir Topham Hatt say if we were late? Every time he met another engine, he would say, "I want to fish." But they all had the same answer. "Engines don't go fishing." Silly stuff.
Who cares about danger when there's love?
He stopped as usual to take him water at the station by the river. "Out of order?" "Bother," said Thomas. "I'm thirsty." "Never mind," said his driver. "We'll get some water from the river." They found a bucket and some rope and went to the bridge. Then the driver let the bucket down to the water. The bucket was old and had 5 holes, so they had to fill it, pull it up, and empty it into Thomas's tank as quickly as they could, several times over. They finished at last. That's good, puffed Thomas, and Annie and Clarabelle ran happily behind. Suddenly, Thomas began to feel a pain in his boiler. Steam began to hiss from his safety valve in an alarming way. "There's too much steam," said his driver. "Oh dear," groaned Thomas. "I'm going to burst. I'm going to burst." They damped down his fire and struggled on. "I've got such a pain, I've got such a pain," Thomas hissed. They stopped just outside the last station, uncoupled Annie and Clarabelle, and ran Thomas, who was still hissing fit to burst, on a siding right out of the way. Then, while the conductor telephoned for an engine inspector, the driver looked on and told them how to do it. When they had caught all the fish, they had a lovely picnic supper of fish and chips. That was good, said Sir Topham Hatt. "But fish don't suit you, Thomas, so you mustn't do it again." "No, sir, I won't," said Thomas sadly. "Engines don't go fishing." Later, Thomas saw the tractor close by. "Hello," said the tractor. "I'm Terrance. I am ploughing." "I'm Thomas. I'm pulling a train." "What ugly wheels you've got." "They're not ugly. They're caterpillars," said Terrance. "I can go anywhere. I don't need rails." "I don't want to go anywhere," said Thomas. "I like my rails, thank you." Winter came with dark clouds full of snow. "I don't like it," said Thomas's driver. "A heavy fall is coming. I hope it doesn't stop us." "Huh," said Thomas. "Soft stuff, nothing to it." And he puffed on, feeling cold but confident. They finished their journey safely, but by now the country was covered. "You'll need your snowplow for the next journey, Thomas," said his driver. "Puh! Snow is silly soft stuff. It won't stop me." The snowplow was heavy and uncomfortable and made Thomas cross. He shook it and he banged it, and when they got back, it was so damaged that the driver had to take it off. "You're a very naughty engine," he said to Thomas. Next morning, Thomas's driver and fireman came early and worked hard to mend the snowplow, but they couldn't make it fit. Thomas was pleased. "I shan't have to wear it. I shan't have to wear it," he puffed to Annie and Clarabelle. But they were rather worried. "I hope it's all right. I hope it's all right," they whispered to each other. The driver was worried too. "It's not bad here," he said to the fireman, "but it's sure to be deep in the valley." "Silly soft stuff," puffed Thomas. "I didn't need that stupid old thing yesterday, and I shan't today. Snow can't stop me." He rushed into a tunnel thinking how clever he was, but there was trouble ahead. "Cinders and ashes," said Thomas. "I am stuck."
Who cares about danger when there's love?
The snow, ready for the journey home.
Anna, ugh. Kissing won't save the forest.
"Thank you, Terrance. Your caterpillars are splendid," said Thomas. Thomas was waiting at a junction when a bus arrived. "Hello," said Thomas. "Who are you?" "I'm Bertie. Who are you?" "I'm Thomas. I run this branch line." "So you're Thomas, eh? I remember now. You got stuck in the snow. I took your passengers, and Terrance the tractor pulled you out. I've come to help you with your passengers today." "Help me," said Thomas. "I can go faster than you." "You can't," said Bertie. "I can," huffed Thomas. "I'll race you," said Bertie. The drivers agreed to the race going ahead. He called Thomas. After that, the road left the railway, so they couldn't see Bertie. stop at the station to let off passengers. Pip, pip, pip! Quickly, please, called Thomas. And off they went again. Come along, sang Thomas. We're coming along, sang Annie and Clarabel. Hurry, 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 panted Thomas. Then he looked ahead. There was Bertie tooting triumphantly on his horn. Oh, dearie me, groaned Thomas. Steady, Thomas, said his driver. We'll be Bertie yet. We'll be Bertie yet. We'll be Bertie yet, echoed Annie and Clarabel. We'll do it, panted Thomas. Oh, bother, there's a station. Then he heard Bertie. Goodbye, Thomas. You must be tired. Sorry I can't stop. We buses have to work, you know. Goodbye. Oh, dear, thought Thomas. We've lost. But he felt better after a drink. The signal dropped. Hurrah, we're off! Hurrah, we're off, puffed Thomas. As they crossed the bridge,
It's time they know.
Let's make a big snowman later.
If they can settle and listen.
now Thomas reached his full speed. Bertie tried hard, but Thomas was too fast. Whistling triumphantly, he plunged into the tunnel, leaving Bertie toiling far behind. We've done it, panted Thomas. We've done it, hooray, we've done it, hooray, chanted Annie and Clarabel as they whooshed into the last station. Everyone was there to celebrate Thomas's victory, but they gave Bertie a big welcome too.
Oh, said the freight cars. We want a proper engine, not a red monster. James took no notice and started as soon as the conductor was ready. Come along, he puffed. We won't, screamed the freight cars. But James didn't care, and he pulled the screeching cars sternly out of the station. The cars tried hard to make him give up, but he still kept on. Sometimes their brakes would slip on, and sometimes their axles would run hot, and each time the trouble had to be put right. And each time James would start again, determined not to let them beat him. Give up, you can't pull us, you can't, called the cars. I can and I will, puffed James. Bridges and stations flashed by, the passengers cheered, and they soon reached the station. Everyone said thank you to James, and Sir Topham Hatt was very impressed. Up for lost time. Annie and Clarabel were so pleased to have their conductor again that they sang as fast as you like, to Thomas all the way. They reached the end of the line quicker than ever before. He called Thomas. After that, the road left the railway, so they couldn't see Bertie. Then they had to stop at the station to let off passengers.
Let's make a big snowman later.
If they can settle and listen.
Now Thomas reached his full speed. Bertie tried hard, but Thomas was too fast. Whistling triumphantly, he plunged into the tunnel, leaving Bertie toiling far behind. it! We've done it! Panted Thomas. We've done it! Hooray! We've done it! Hooray! Chanted Annie and Clarabelle as they whooshed into the last station. Everyone was there to celebrate Thomas's victory, but they gave Bertie a big welcome too.